traditional old security stories. We'll go in deep dive for the security aspect in the cloud when it compares to on-premise infrastructure. We'll see the holistic view of the security. I'll show you the few examples as well, which I have faced in my career and which I have seen in other customer sites as well. So before we begin, I would like to know how many of you are planning to have application, a PCI DSS compliant application? How many of you? Yep, you're planning, right? Yeah. How many of you concerned about security? Yeah. Oh, nice. Good. How many of you need coffee? Okay. Yeah. So I believe that to understand the security, we have to divide it in different layers, right? So, and Amazon also says that security is a shared responsibility, right? So we will understand the same responsibility in different layers. So Amazon will take care of these two layers, data lake and physical. So they'll take care of physical servers, storage, hypervisors, cloud orchestration engine, layer 2 networking like VLAN, VXLAN, GRE, whatever tunnel they are using it on the back end. The top, these two layers, network and transport, where the IP address and the port configuration resides. That's a shared responsibility because Amazon is giving you power. They are giving you control to configure your virtual private cloud. So it's your responsibility to harden the security so that there will be a prevention from any intrusion from the network and transport layer. Now the same layer is also available on operating system as well. We have IP address and port there as well. We have IP tables. We have Windows firewall there. Correct? That is completely our responsibility. Now the other top three layers, application, presentation and session. What are the components involved in these three layers? Your operating system, your platform and your application. 75% of attack in the internet happens on these three layers only. Take an example, that today a vulnerability is identified in one of the platform like Apache or Nginx. Right? If a user is accessing your application and they know that there is a vulnerability is identified and there is no patch available because it's not released yet, and they know that it's a cross-scripting, I can do it with the help of that vulnerability which is exposed, which is just announced, how we can prevent it? Patch is not available at all. An application level, how many types of attacks possible? So top 25 attacks are happening on these three layers only. SQL injection, cross-scripting, right? Known worms, compromised servers. You may be using a third-party advertisement in your web application as well, right? Now this web application may be using some images, some sort of images or videos. Now what if they are not able to reach you, but they will penetrate the third-party server, which is legitimate for you, and you are using those images as a URL. And if those virus or worms will get embedded to the image, it will infect your server as well. We have a customer where the Amazon informed them that their server is compromised and they were doing the things with. They were sniffing to the different IP address and port. Right. Now, long story short, Amazon will take care of the physical, virtual part, the cloud orchestration engine. We have to take care of the guest operating system hardening, patch management, database configuration, application configuration, account management, security group. Okay, I'll talk about security groups and SEL, everything next slide. When I talk about the solution, how to prevent it, the best practice on the security part. Identity management as well. So let's consider for a while traditional data center security. let's consider that you want to deploy a 3-tier web application in your data center and you want to secure it. What are the first thing you will think about in a data center? We are building a data center right now. Anyone, what is the first thing will come into your mind when it comes to security for your traditional data center?
Firewall.
Yep, firewall. But firewall, again, connectivity, yes.
Like, what do we gonna connect it?
Correct. So we first of all think about the data center network. How many VLANs or network we will be having in our data center? We need one private VLAN for database so that no one can access my database. We need one application server VLAN or network which will only talk to the database. We need one DMZ zone where I will put all of my web facing servers to the DMZ zone, right? And the DMZ zone will be protected with private level firewalls. Right? The same logic applies in the cloud as well, because cloud is nothing but a virtual data center. It is a virtual data center and you have to think of cloud as your own data center, right? So I've taken an example here. So just throw me any questions if you have regarding the architecture, or if you think we can penetrate certain the architecture, any architecture, what I am mentioning in this example, please feel free to do it. So I have two subnets, private and public. Both is in different availability zones. Right? I have RDS, I'm using RDS database, RDS and MySQL RDS, and I have a read replica or multi-AZ configuration RDS in two different availability zones. I have application or business logic in app servers. An app server is able to talk to the RDS database. Right? The only way to communicate outside the internet, because private subnet doesn't have internet gateway. So I have configured net servers who does the netting and will allow them to communicate to the internet, or public subnet. So in a public subnet I have web servers. Again, everything is in auto-scaling group. Right? I have a load balancer who does the load balancing between these two web server auto-scaling group, so you can say. And I'm using CDN as well. I'm using CDN to distribute my content all over the globe. How many of you think that this is the secure way to architect? How many of you think, or you think any way to go inside the application server, or do you think any ways to go inside the web server? Do you think any of the layer which I mentioned here is vulnerable right now? I think you know everyone that it's secure, or I think anyone knows? Right? Okay. And it is not secure at all, because right now we do not have any parameter level firewall, which we do it in a DMZ zone. So basically layer 3 and layer 4 is not secure, because there is no parameter level firewall. We do not have any patch management configured. We do not have any application level security as well. So right now all the layers are not secure at all. How do we start securing all those layers? So first and foremost, we have to configure the ACL. Access control list is a parameter level firewall for your each subnet. This is a stateless firewall, means you have to configure inbound and outbound rules. You have to configure your incoming port and outgoing port. The second thing is a security group. Layer 3 and layer 4 which we are securing on Amazon infrastructure layer. Can we configure the same like security group in on-premise data center? Is it possible? So security group is called a micro-segmentation. It's a different security methodology where they says that each firewall should not be a perimeter firewall, but the firewall should be attached to the servers, right? So that there will be no internal penetration as well. Consider a scenario that one of your developers, they are uploading a code to your server, and their desktops or laptops are penetrated or compromised with virus or worm or anything. Right? It can go into the web server as well. Right? Now after configuring the security group, we can configure after that you can configure the web application firewall. Yeah. So this is a layer 7 security. So we have secured our layer 3 and layer 4 on Amazon infrastructure, but still it's not there on operating system level. 3 and 4 is still vulnerable on the layer operating system. From layer 7 we have protected with, because we are using CDN CloudFront, we can use Amazon Web to protect our layer 7. What are the attacks can happen on layer 7? Cross-scripting, SQL injection. They are the main well-known attacks. Now to protect the application from the server, as I told you, microsegment. The methodology of microsegmentation says that the protection should be there on each server as well. So we should protect our platform, operating system, and application from each server. How can we, as I mentioned earlier, that if there is a vulnerability identified and there is no patch available, we should need a